what is it? Good afternoon to everybody. It's after 12 o'clock. Okay, so my name is Dan O'Gorman, and I will explain this. For some of you who were in Croke Park a couple of weeks back, you probably know what this is, but those of you who are not from Ireland, it's similar to a cricket ball, where we play it faster in Ireland in the game of hurling, which is 30 guys with sticks on a pitch. But it's a level playing pitch on the basis of what David said. We have standards, we have rules, and believe it or not, because of those rules and standards and that level playing pitch, people don't get killed playing the game of hurling, okay? Which is very important. So, what am I going to talk about? First of all, the organisation of GS1. For those of you who don't know, we're the people behind the barcode. And that barcode is what you get when you get an Amazon delivery or when you walk into a shop. And what you get from that barcode, as you can see there, is it's global. We're all over the world. And it's consistency. And everything that we need in the construction industry is capable of being delivered with what we do. So you can buy a product from Timbuktu, and because it has a GS1 standard G10 global trade item number, it can be identified and fed back into the information behind it. But what I'm going to talk to you is about the I in them. Our focus is on the information. And note the information, because that's what's required in the current environment of ESG and everything else we do. But the information actually flows from the design team to the construction, through operations, through end of life and repurposing. And this is a global need, because the products we buy today have to be able to be reused. And I'll give some demonstrations of that. And what's it all about? It's about trust. And that's what we want. A person who wants to live in a building, they want to trust that the people who designed that building, who delivered that building, who commissioned that building, actually did it in a trustworthy way. But words are easy. What we need is a mix of technology, procedure, and above all, standards. Because with standards we get uniformity, and we get transparency, we get responsibility. Who did something, who didn't do something is more important in the construction industry. User focus. Everybody will enjoy the environment we build. And we have to be proud of the buildings that we build all globally, because they are an edifice to the hard work of both designers and contractors, and those people who operate those buildings. And then we have to look at sustainability. We have to look at how we can repurpose materials and avoid taking rock from quarries when we can actually reuse that rock. And I'll demonstrate that later on in the presentation. And at last, not least, technology. But it's not technology for technology's sake. It's how technology can aid all the other 4 items that you see there. And that's what's important. And this is a slitter, okay? And the reason it has a red dot in it is, instead of the team, when this goes on, introduced onto the playing field, instead of somebody taking out a vernier scales and measuring this or weighing it, what do? They simply scan that red dot, which you see here, and it verifies that this is a genuine product. And why is that important? Because we're creating a level playing field. The same type of level playing field we want to create in the construction industry, where there is fairness and people can actually trust the system. Similar to what you do when you walk into a shop and buy something. You put it into the basket, you walk to the checkout. What happens? The person scans, you pull out your wallet and you pay. You don't question it. And this is what we have to achieve in the construction industry. And that red dot there achieves that. And it achieves in a way that the game is not held up, and everybody on that field, the 30 players who have got sticks in their hand, and a referee in the middle who doesn't got hit by one of those sticks because he made a bad decision, is dependent on that red dot. And that's the game of hurling. Moving on. Interoperability. Everybody in this room uses an ATM. But believe it or not, back in the 1980s, if you had a Bank of Ireland account, you could only go to a Bank of Ireland ATM. What did they do in the 19? They decided to actually get interoperability, so you can go to any bank machine and actually use. And that's what we're advocating in GS1. Instead of somebody waking up in the morning and thinking of a number, if you're PJ Hegarty's, and a guy says, I have to put barcodes because the client asks it. The guy says, well, I'll start with 1, I'll end up with 500, because there's 500 rooms in the place. What good is that? To nobody. But if you use the GS1 standard, that number that you put on that product identifies the building, identifies who did it, who built it, because it's like the number plate in your car. For those of you who have been on the M50 or the M7, got caught by the cops, they don't ask you your name anymore. They take down your registration number, to put it into their system, and it tells you how many times you've broken the speed limit. Why? Because it's just a unique identifier which they use to access the right information at the right time. But that information doesn't have to be static. Every human interaction that changes the state or status of a core maintainable asset that's identified as part of the AIR, asset information requirements, and the asset information model is tracked. Not just when somebody decides we have got to do commissioning and stick a QR code on it. It's tracked all the way through, from assembly to factory acceptance testing, to delivery on site, to installation, to commissioning, to operation. All from one tag. And just what I just said there is the exact same thing that happens in Dunn Stores or Primark or any place else you buy. Everything passes through from the manufacturing facility, where it's a box of cornflakes, is tracked. And that's what we want to try and achieve. Moving on. Give you a good example. Concrete, reinforced concrete particularly, makes up 40 to 60% of the concrete used in construction. Of the embodied carbon in construction. So what we advocate is find the low-hanging fruit and actually go and identify that. And this is what we're saying. The design team, some of you here are design team, they have a part to play. We have the contractor who wins the job. We have a company called Midland Steel, which we're working closely with, and they have actually brought the site to the factory. Why have they brought the site to the factory? Because there's a acute shortage of steel fixtures in the world. So they're looking at innovation. But they cannot do prefabricated rebar cages or mats unless these design people are actually working to a standard, as David told you earlier. And that standard is not just because you went off and got certified, it's because you're putting it into practice. Now what I maintain is, if you start from using sustainability, and start with this, and put in the disciplines, the processes and the tools, then you can continue on from the concrete all the way through to everything that you supply. And this is just embodied carbon. So what's the next stage? They put a tag on the rebar cages. They assemble those rebar cages and decide, as you can see here, the concrete gang and the planner decide, for this particular pour, we're going to put X amount of rebar cages, X amount of mats into that space. They're all geolocated, GLN's global location number, and they form a family. That family then is tracked all the way through. The person lifting it into place knows the weight of it, because they scan this QR code and it gives them the weight. This person here knows where to put the formwork because they scan the QR code, they know what it is. This person here setting up the formwork knows where it is. And then the resident engineer, for those of you who are resident engineers in this place, actually scan the same QR code and they do their inspection. What have I just described? Not one piece of paper. It's the exact same process you get when Amazon deliver a parcel to your door. Before COVID, they delivered and you rang the door, you got out of bed and came down, you signed. Now, they just deliver it and they send you a text message, and if the parcel is not there when you come back from work, you chase it up, management by exception. And this is what we can do with the industry. And then these guys move over here, the planner. Now, every time this QR code is scanned, the scheduler who's using P6 or Asta or Microsoft Project is getting a ding saying this activity has started. But if this is a unique identifier like this ball, then they know if there's 20 windows and there's 20 sequential numbers in the serialized G10, they know, well, started at 1, started at 2, that activity is finished. And why is that important to this room? Because construction has moved on. And now, when I started construction 46 years ago, practically you could walk around the site and see what's been built. Now with modular construction and particularly with off-site fabrication, critical components to your building could be manufactured 20 miles away. And just like Uber or any of the taxi apps today, you don't ring up anymore. You get an app, you see the avatar of the car coming towards you, so you don't question it. And this is what we can do, because everything that's scanned in at that off-site facility 150 miles away can be scanned in, verify that it's the right product. Again, totally paperless. And then you get this guarantee and you can sleep easy at night. And then we move on. The concrete truck knows where to go. The person doing the safety inspection knows to go. The RE is back again doing another check. The cubes are checked, all traced back, and then the formwork is stripped.
Sorry, Doc, 1 minute.
Okay, 1 minute. So in that case, 60 to 100 years later, all the information is available. And this is called digital building logbook. That's where we end up. So all that effort of all these people is now captured. And this is the cube test. You have full traceability where that cube test does. So given I've only got a minute, if you want to scan this, or I can give out cards, I have them here. After this, you can actually see how this actually works. So instead of giving you one of these, I'm giving you a card at the end of this. Just grab them from here, right? So I've only got a minute. But basically what's happened here is, we're just using this as an example. If you have Dalux, if you have Procore, if you have Autofix Construction Cloud, all we're saying is we're not asking you to change the app that you have. We're just asking you to use a GS1 standard QR code, serialized QR code on your product. That's the message. It's as simple as that. And then all this information is available, because the beauty of what we're going to show you here is this. This is the magic. Every one of these actors, I'm only showing 4 of them here, they scan the same QR code on the steel, or on the concrete, or anything else, a fire door or anything else, and they get a totally different experience that is specific to their need at that particular point in time. So an architect walks up and sees a nice door and likes it. They can scan that door if it's the G10, and then take that record, go back to NVS source and find out that door, and then specify that in the next project. This is the power of the I in VIM. Digital workflow simplification, trusted product data access, improved project outcomes. And just to demonstrate, this has happened before, what I just showed about the concrete. We see this with the planers on the road. They take the aggregate off, they send it to the quarry, they add a bit of tar to it, it comes back that even to relay it. That's what we have to achieve with concrete. Why? Because it's a product that now the quarry guys don't like this, because obviously they don't have to blast rock anymore. But that's what we can do. And then finally, is it worth the effort? These guys know exactly what, from the building logbook, the digital building logbook, what's constituting the concrete. And then finally, they know whether there's mica, pyrite, and everything else, because they have this digital record. And this is just the last example is Kilsarn. Some of you are familiar with Kilsarn. They now sign on glass, and it's digital, right? So imagine if you could get your statement, and this is the thing I mentioned the last day in Croke Park, and you had your GS1 G10 on your delivery docket. Tap on that, go to NVS source product sheet, or whatever is in the future that's going to be there, and then you get all these details. So literally, in one place, you have what you spent and the specification behind it. And this is happening today with our friends in Ryanair and Revolut. I'm finished. So Ryanair and Revolut is doing this today. So this is not future. There you go. So thanks very much.
Thank you, Doc.